Hey everyone, we are going to talk today about real estate sales. So it's not a typical CRM. We are going to show you how to build something that's custom for this specific market, so real estate. And we are going to talk about how to manage buildings, units, your realtors, and also all your tasks and even locations. So location is something that's of course really important for this market specifically. But the idea here is uh, it's a way for the company to just know how your sales are going, but not only your sales as a whole, but also how your team is selling. So how much they are selling, if they are having a really good performance or not, if they are achieving their goals, and all of the metrics that we are used to see in sales. However, now we are going to see this applied for real estate. So the idea here is to show you how a complete app for this segment works, and ideally you will also be able to download this, install actually in your gesture account, and then you can change it. Maybe you need more goals, maybe you need different sales performance and so on. So Cruz, what's the idea of this app? What's the problem that we are solving here right now?
Cool. So the main idea here and the main problem that we're solving here is that real estate sales is a very specific kind of sale because you kind of have like this inventory of things that you have to sell, but it's quite fixed and they have kind of like an asking price, a standard price per unit, but usually it goes down a little bit because there's like negotiations going on and such. So it's kind of like a very specific type of sales because you don't have infinite supply, right? You have some specific units that you have to sell, and because of that, it's actually very important. It's more important to track individual performance per sale than most other segments, right? So if you only have 10 units to sell, it's very important for you to track if you sold all of them, if you didn't give too much of a discount in each unit. And there's also some very specific things going on because you have realtors, and realtors they have commissions, and usually you have an agreed upon commission rate for each realtor. So it's kind of like you said, it's usually people can use traditional CRMs to track sales, but it's way better for you to have some custom made software, like a custom made template that keeps track of all of this. So the idea here is for you to have a simple way to track units by building or by project or by neighborhood. At the end of the day, it's however you do this, and track not only how much you're selling for, but compare this with the asking price, and then also have a way to register who was the realtor that closed the deal, how much was the deal closed on, and you also have a way to calculate commissions and such. So I'm going to give a brief overview of everything, and then we're going to talk about how to build this. We're not going to build this from scratch, otherwise I think it would be too long, but we're going to go over the main parts of the template. So if you wanted to do something similar, maybe you're not exactly in the real estate business, but you have some there's some idea here that you could use for your own this industry, and you wanted to apply this. We're going to go over the main concepts here, the key concepts, so you can kind of apply this to something else. So as you can see on my screen, I have a dashboard, a main dashboard for sales by buildings, and I can look at each building and their units. So let me uncollapse this. So just to be a little bit clearer, there you go. So on the top part, I have three things. I have a chart that keeps track of how much I've sold for each building, and this is going to compare the asking price and the sold price, the sold total. I'm going to explain this concept a little bit later. I have a realtor performance in money, right? How much each realtor has closed in deals, and I have a map that shows me the buildings or the projects or the neighborhoods themselves, right? So I could just keep focusing on this and see where each building is located. And right down here, I have a table which shows me information from each building. So I have building A, building B, building C, but I also have a total potential that I can have in sales for this building, and I have how much I've already sold for this building. We're going to explain this later, but if we compare both of these metrics, we have the sales performance, we have the address, we have the total number of units for that specific building, and then we have how many units were already sold, and then we have another progress bar to show how the occupancy, so how many units we have left. And if we open this row for a specific building, I can see every unit for that building. So you can see that for building C, I have apartments 101C, 102C, 201C, and so on. And then I can see the asking price, the closing price, the realtor, and if it was sold or not. So what do I mean by asking price and closing price? So usually when you have like a project, when you have like a building and you have units, which are the apartments, each apartment is going to have like a standard price, right? It's the asking price. So the standard price for this specific unit is $275,000, but usually you're going to negotiate. So the client, the person trying to buy the apartment, is going to try to negotiate a little bit below the asking price, and then you can register here how much did you sell that unit for. So if the asking price was 275, maybe because of some special deal, maybe because of certain conditions, you sold that unit for $250,000 instead of $275,000. And this is what makes the total potential of the building versus how much you sold. So you can see here that building C has 3 apartments. Each apartment has an asking price of 275. So if I sum all of this, I get a total potential of 125. So the total potential of the building is the sum of the asking prices of all the apartments. And then as I keep selling the apartments, I can mark them as sold. I can register the closing price, and this is going to add up to the sold total. So the idea here, like I said before, is that usually, you're going to have negotiations, but you're trying to make sales performance reach the total potential of the building, right? If the total potential of the building is 825, you don't want to go much below that, right? You want to go to 800, you want to go to 785 or something like this. So it's very important so you can track individual sales and see that realtors are not trying to sell them too cheap so they get at least get some commission, right? So you can keep track of individual sales and keep things organized and keep things on track.
And
So
one thing that's pretty interesting here also, it's if you want to create a more traditional CRM on top of this, is pretty easy because basically you will have an opportunity pipeline, and each opportunity would have an amount of units, for example. And maybe because maybe some people they buy like 3 or 4 because they are not going to live there necessarily. Maybe they're just buying this because they want to invest. uh and and then you can connect everything with the data that you have here as well. So now we are showing this structure more focused on performance, but it's also possible to just manage all the deals here. And the interesting thing is like you're still going to have all the data, and you are going to have also data like how much time did it take to close this deal, or how much time it's stuck on negotiation, or it's even more data that you have here. But it's also a way to expand the example that we have, that we are showing right now. And if you don't have thousands of units, in my opinion, this is more than enough to manage your sales, because in the beginning, you don't need to have a really complex structure to manage all your sales. Maybe you have like 3 buildings, like the ones that you have here. I don't know, maybe it's 100 apartments. You could manage the opportunity just inside the comments of each apartment. You don't need like a specific opportunity attaching all of them. So, but if you have 1,000 units, 1,000 apartments, or any larger number that you believe it's getting really hard to just manage, then it's important to have a more robust structure, and then you can build this CRM and so on. So, but you could do the CRM with 3 units as well. It doesn't. It's not like something that it's prohibited for you to do. It's just maybe you don't need this right now. So this could just serve you as a CRM as well, even though you don't have like a flow or something.
Exactly. So this app is more focused on sales performance, in terms of how much money is being made and how much you're achieving compared to the total potential. But like Vanak said, if you wanted to create a CRM, and that's quite easy to do, and as soon as I explain how this template was built, I think most people will get it. Is that if you wanted to have a CRM, which is the part that the realtors are using, right? And you have this workflow, this Kanban board for deals, and you can have multiple ongoing deals for each unit. So you have separate negotiations. So every realtor is trying to sell the same units and so on. And then you can actually do a lot of cool things. Like, for example, you could have a roll-up field that shows how many ongoing negotiations are being um, like performed for a specific unit, right? So this is even like a sales tactic. You can tell the customer, you say, you're looking at apartment 201C. There are 15 other people that are already trying to buy this. So you probably should give this a priority and so on. But the idea here is sales performance. So this is how it works. We have the filter here up top. So if I select a building, for example, building A, it's going to filter all of the components. So now we can see that it filters the chart here. So it shows me only the information for building A. On the map, it already focused on building A's address. And here on this table, it shows me the information only from building A. Another cool thing is that if I want to register a new building or new project or new neighborhood, I can click here on new building, and this is going to give me, I forgot to link it, so I'll link it right now just to show you guys. I have a super form for this. So we're going to be able to add a building and multiple units at the same time. So let me just link the form that I created here, real estate super forms. There you go. And new building form. Cool. So I'm going to click on save. There you go. So now if I try to add a new building, it's going to call this form now. And you can see that I can submit a picture for that building, a title, an address, description, but also I can add as many units as I'd like to, right? So I can submit a new building, and if it's got like 10 apartments, I can just keep adding apartments and registering them. And as soon as I create the building, it's going to create all of them. So let's do that now. So building D, it's the fourth one. So for address, I'm just going to type in New York. It's a address field, so it's going to get information automatically from Google. So for units, it's going to be apartment 101D, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this. I'm not going to fill out all the information right now, but there you go. So if I create this, I can submit this. It's going to automatically create the building and the units as well. So record created successfully. So let's remove the filter. And here it is, building D, and it already created all of the units here. But if I wanted to, I could keep pressing here, clicking here on add unit, and I would be able to add a unit to this building as well. But you can see that it's already counting the number of units, right? I have 3 available units and so on. So this is the main part of the app, and then I have Realtor Performance, which basically instead of focusing on the buildings, it focuses on realtors. So I have a chart showing how much each realtor has sold so far. And if I select one of them, for example, John, which is the one that sold the most, right? It's going to get me his registration form, which has his name, his picture, his email, his phone, how much is the rate for his commission, and also filter the chart. And I can see on this table which deals he has participated on and that he has sold, right? And one cool thing about this is that it's also calculating regarding it's using the closing price and the commission of this realtor to calculate the commission, and it's also showing me if this commission has already been paid or not. So I can keep track of which commissions I still have to pay for this realtor, and how much I owe them for the sales and so on. Okay, so how is all of this working, right? So we have 3 databases here. We have a database, a table for the buildings. So I'm going to go there now. And you can see that for the buildings, we have a name of the building, a picture field for a picture of the building. We have total potential, total sold. This is a roll-up field, so those are automatic fields. It's counting things automatically. It's summing things out automatically. You can see here that if I try to change it, it doesn't allow me to. It's getting information from the units table, and I'm going to show it later. But I also have a sort of visual aid here, which is the goal field, right? So the goal field allows me to compare 2 metrics and show kind of like a progress bar, right? So I'm going to edit this just so you guys can see. So the value that it's seeing as the current amount is the total sold here. You can see here, for example, 525. And it's comparing it against the total potential. You can see here that it's 825, and then it makes kind of like this progress here, so you can have a visual aid that allows you to look at something and see, okay, we're almost there, right? So we have an address field, which is basically an integration with Google Maps, so you can just type the address and it's going to search for the address. It's always using like the true locations, right, and without spelling mistakes. And then we also have roll-up fields that are counting the number of total units and sold units. And we also have a goal field comparing both of this. And we have finally, a description field, which is a rich text field, where I can write a description for that building, and a button to add a unit. So let's talk about units. So if I go here to the units database, the units table, you can see that for units, the structure that I have here is a title, a name for the unit, so the apartment, like apartment 101A and so on. I have the realtor that closed the deal, that sold that apartment. I have the asking price, so that's the standard price for that unit, right? So that's how much they should sell the unit for. But I have the closing price because it may differ, right? Like we said before, maybe they may sell an apartment for less or more, I don't know. And we also have a checkbox for marking a unit as sold, right? We have a formula which is calculating commission. And this is interesting because if you guys recall, I don't. If you see here, I don't have a field here for the commission. The commission is inside the realtor record. So because this is connected information, I can get information from inside another record. So the formula here is realtor commission, which is the rate, times the closing price, and this is giving me the commission that I should pay to them. I have a checkbox to mark if that commission has already been paid. And then I have some information like the square footing for that specific unit, documents, pictures, and so on. And then I
Another
have
thing
the
that's interesting about like units and pricing and everything. Uh, Sometimes the construction company sells its own units, but sometimes they have like partners. So it's not even like your salesperson that's actually doing the sale, but it's realtor uh, agency or company that's selling it for you, and then you have X amount of commission. You could even use the same structure for realtors. Instead of the name, could be like the name of the company, and instead of picture could be the logo. You could have two different tables on this situation. However, it could even have one table with all of them, and then it could be like, is it a company or individual or your own employee or something like this? Because uh, it's interesting because then you can have even more custom analytics for your sales, and you can see like is it better for the company to sell only through uh, larger companies or uh, individual salespeople and this kind of stuff.
exactly. Like Banat said, for realtors, you could have agencies, you could have separate companies. Here, we're using like individual realtors as an example. But we have here like the name, their picture, the commission rate, so that's agreed upon commission rate, the email, phone, like contact information, and attachments can be like the contract and so on. So this is a very simple structure, and I just want to go back to buildings and look at the roll-up field, because here in units, for example, you can see that each unit is connected to a specific building, right? So apartment 101D is connected to building D, right? So this is how the roll-up field works. It works because of this connection. So if I look here at sold total, it's a roll-up field, and it's looking at the units table, and it's going to automatically detect all of the units that are connected to this building. And then you just have to define the operation, right? You want to sum the closing price, and you can add a filter. For example, I even forgot to do this, but I only want to sum things that are sold. So sold is equal to true. So you can format the output here. So the end result is like a number with a currency symbol and two decimal places. So you can click on save. So this is how you're getting information from the other table. Because of this connection, you can do this automatic sum, right? And it's the same thing for total units and sold units, but instead of summing a specific value there, I'm just telling it to count, like count the number of apartments, of units that I have there. Okay, okay. So once you have this structure, uh, we've built this app, and it's actually quite simple. I'm just going to go over two components here just to show you guys how it works. But here you go. Let's click on edit. There it is. So for example, I have the chart of progress by building. So it's how much I've already sold versus the potential sales that I can have for a building, right? So for building A, I've already sold all units. I don't have more potential available. But for building B, I still have some units left, so I can still sell a maximum amount of $600,000, right? So if I click here on edit, I can look at this chart and you guys can see that it's very easy to set this up, right? So there you go. So I have the chart of progress by building. It's a stacked bar chart. You can see here that I have bars on top of each other. And for the first bar, I'm basically getting in the table units by building. I'm summing the asking price, right? And I'm only getting units that are not sold, so I have a filter here. And for the second bar, I'm summing in the table units by building the closing price, and I'm only getting things that are sold, and this is going to give me this chart here, right? So the last component that I want to show is the table, because it's connected information, so it's a little bit more interesting here how things are working. So basically, this is a table component. So you can see that here I'm saying that I want to see a table of buildings, and I'm selecting the fields that I want to see for each building, right? So it's the picture, it's the title, it's the potential total, it's the sold total, sales performance. It's basically everything that's in this row, right? That's showing the progress bar and so on. But if I go down to the bottom part of this settings, I have this option, show connected records. And because units are connected to the building, I can do this. And basically what I'm saying is show every unit that belongs to this building, that's connected to this building, and give me its title, the realtor, the asking price, the closing price, and if it was sold or not. There's also a few things happening here, and it's the last thing that I'm going to show here. I'm just going to click here on save and close everything, but let's disable builder mode. There you go. So if I open a unit, for example here, apartment 102C, I can open this. It's going to give me a super form that I've set up, which is basically a custom panel, right? And it's showing me for BDC, I have the apartment 102C. The asking price is 275,000, and I can click here on sold. And if I click here on sold, it shows me realtor and closing price. So there's conditionals here, right? So if it's not sold, there's no reason to select a realtor and a closing price because it's not yet sold. But if I sell it, then I can choose a realtor like Charlie and say how much they have sold this for. So like 275, and I'm going to click on save, and you can see here that he was already selected here. There you go. So basically, I think that for the template, this is it. But I don't know if you have anything more to add.
Yeah, just that we are going to make this also available for all users on the template store. You can install it, you can change it, and you can improve it if you want to add like a CRM pipeline, or if you want to add maybe your budgets or any other part of your company there as well. So this is one example of application for Gestor, but it could be your basically your ERP or the system that manages all the process of your company. And we are going to be back next week with another example. So if you have any questions or requests, just send to us and we will bring it here. Thank you guys.